So in honor of Japan having a jingle for basically everything, thought it'd be a good idea to make a jingle for this video made on this automaton that I got in Japan. So I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like everyone you talk to lately is either going or just came back from Japan. It's either that or they just came back from this really cool mystery island that a billionaire owns and they're really cagey about the details. Regardless, Japan is a massively popular holiday destination for Australians. So like the massive sheep person that I am, I too just got back. From Japan, not the island. And I thought I'd take you through my trip just to give you some potential ideas, holiday stuff. And also I really want to show you this Ultraman that I got. He's really cool and he flies and look at him. So just as a note, this was my first time. So naturally we went to all the major cities and we didn't get to go to smaller places like the place in Japan where they claim Jesus was buried. We did, however, get to go to the place that Walt Disney was buried, so that's cool. If you haven't been able to tell by looking at me, I am a massive weeb. So, going to the land of the rising nerd was a real bucket list item for me. And all jokes aside, I really do believe Japan is an amazing country. There's just so much culture and history and so many love hotels. So for day one, we flew out of Sydney at 9 p.m. Sydney time, landing in Tokyo at 5 a.m. Tokyo time. Then we got another smaller plane to Osaka, which then we got a car to Kyoto where we'd start the trip. So we got into Kyoto about 9 a.m. local time, and we just spent the first day kind of walking around, learning the city, and just kind of getting our bearings. One thing I noticed about Kyoto straight from the start is just how quiet that place is. Like we'd be in really busy areas full of people and it just was silent. It was so quiet, I felt like I was in the studio audience of The Big Bang Theory.
Bazinga.
So day 2 in Kyoto was probably my favorite part of the whole trip. We did a bicycle tour around the city and it was just really awesome riding through the city. It was a great way to see it, riding through suburbs, riding through all the farms. It was really, really awesome. And that night I decided to do something very brave and I went to a Sento. If you don't know what a Sento is, basically it's just a public bathhouse. And one thing you need to know about them is they really aren't for tourists. And although it was really intimidating and nerve-wracking going to a bath that was full of, come here, naked people, it was really awesome and actually felt like a proper cultural experience. The lady at the front spoke no English, so it was actually a really good experience for me and my girlfriend to practice our Japanese. And there's something really relaxing about sitting around a bunch of naked men. Sitting in a bath of warm water with naked men. So the next few days we just spent seeing more of Kyoto. We went to the Fushimi Inari Shrine, where my girlfriend got to wear a kimono, and you can see she's very happy about that. Although it was pretty busy and kind of filled with a lot of people, I definitely recommend going because it's just such an awesome thing to see. Like you walk through over like 10,000 shrines, and that's nearly as many times as I said sumimasen in public. So from Kyoto, we went on a day trip down to Hiroshima on the bullet train. The bullet train, or the Shinkansen, is a lot like me in bed. The trip ends really quickly, and it just made a lot of people nauseous. Hiroshima is a beautiful city. We didn't get to spend a lot of time there, but I'm really excited to go back and actually explore it because I just thought it was awesome. We spent quite a bit of time in the Peace Museum, and that was really eye-opening and really sad. After that, we got some Hiroshima-style okonomiyaki. Most of my group didn't really enjoy it, but I loved it. I guess they don't really have the cultured palate that I do. So the next day we hopped back on the Shinkansen and headed to Osaka for our next leg of the trip. And this is where the trip got both awesome and kind of shitty. Osaka is an incredible city. There's so much to explore. It's just so easy to get around and such a beautiful place. However, if you're there with a horrible bout of influenza B, then, the only thing you can really explore is the 50 meters between your hotel and the closest family mart. So for that reason, Osaka was kind of a blur for me. I did get to do a few cool things, but for most of it, I was just kind of sick in bed. So here's a quick montage of the stuff that the group did without me. So on our final day in Osaka, it was finally time, the thing I'd been waiting for this whole trip. It was time for me to meet Toad. So yeah, we went to Super Nintendo Land and I can honestly say it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Just that initial view you get when you first walk in, it really does feel like you're in a Mario level. It's that same feeling I get when I hop into the sewers to jump on turtles. Let's go. But yeah, I was absolutely obsessed. It was one of the coolest things, and I recommend seeing it so much. Universal itself was awesome. It was just so busy. I'm sure if we'd planned better, we could have gone on more rides and seen more stuff. But honestly, just walking around and seeing all the theming was really cool. So from Osaka, we hopped back on the Shinkansen for our final leg of the trip in Tokyo. And that's where my sister Sophia was going to be meeting us for the final week. And Tokyo truly is amazing. I honestly loved it so much. And just walking around, seeing the city, seeing different parts of it, it was just so amazing, and it was just such an awesome place to see. So we stayed in a suburb called Ikebukuro. Coming into Tokyo is when I started to feel quite a bit better, but unfortunately that's when my brother Adam got even sicker. Sucked in, Adam. So our first full day in Tokyo is when we went to Akihabara, and that's when all my weeb, nerd, loser, bullshit dreams came true. I got to go to Super Potato, which is a well-known retro game store in Akihabara, and we spent most of the day just walking around and exploring. So some notable things we got to do in Tokyo were going to Team Labs, which was mad. Being in Tokyo really was just such an incredible experience. Just like I said, walking around the city was so cool, just exploring everything I could. Hopping on the train, just going to a random suburb and just looking at it was just really, really cool. And I really want to go back and spend more time, just more of a living experience, and just kind of see as much as I can. That would really be awesome. And catching the trains around was just so easy. Like, you'd never had to look at train times because you know if you went to a platform, it would be there. Or if not there, it'd be there in the next minute or so. So on one of our last days in Tokyo, we initially had planned to go down to a place called Hakone, which has a big onsen town. And it also has views of Mount Fuji. Unfortunately, on that day, the weather wasn't very good, so we decided not to go. And my sister had the brilliant plan of, hey, well, we have the day off now. Why don't we go to the Studio Ghibli Museum? And that was something me, my sister Sophia, and my girlfriend Marnie all really wanted to do. We had been talking about it for ages before the trip, but we weren't sure if we were able to get there just because of timing. So now that we had the free day, we were so excited, and we hopped on the train and we were on our way there. It took about an hour to get there, but by the time we got there, we walked out 20 minutes from the station, and we realized that you need to have booked probably about 3 months in advance before you can even get a ticket. So we hung our heads in shame and walked back. A real highlight for me was a bar district in Shinjuku called Golden Gai. For those of you who don't know what Golden Gai is, basically it's a small area in Shinjuku that is just filled with a bunch of tiny bars and izakayas. There are a few of those around Tokyo, but Golden Gai definitely is the most popular. I do definitely recommend going there. It was just a really cool nightlife experience. Like, I know it is a bit touristy, but it was just really cool to walk through, go to all the bars, have chats with the owners. It was a great place, and I'd definitely recommend it. Our last 2 days we spent at Disney and Disney Sea, and that was awesome too. Not really much to say about it, but I will say Disney Sea is incredible. If you're a fan of anything Disney, you know, I would say Tokyo Disneyland might be one of the best. Overall, going to Japan was one of the best experiences of my life, and I'm so keen to go back and just explore as much of the country as I possibly can. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.